This time, we welcome an expert from our community to come and present on a subject that we think is relevant and meaningful to our Yorkville University and Toronto Film School communities. Our expert will offer some brief thoughts on the topic of the day, and then we will take questions which can be submitted through the Q&A panel at the bottom of your screen. Today, we are kicking off Canada Career Month, which is really exciting. So what's Canada Career Month? Well, each November, we highlight the importance of accessing meaningful work and celebrate the incredible work that is done to help ensure that all Canadians are better prepared to develop and manage their careers in an emergent and sometimes chaotic labor market. And I could honestly and truly think of no one better to open Canada Career Month than today's speaker, Serena Hopkins. So as Executive Director of the Canadian Career Development Foundation, Serena works in Canada and internationally to strengthen the research, the reach and impact of career development. With her team at CCDF, she moves from ideas to action in areas of public policy, research and development, capacity building, and advocacy. Serena has worked on the front lines in mental health, addictions, and poverty reduction, and brings this lens to all of her work. She lives in Ottawa, so she's joining us from Ottawa with her partner, teenage daughter. And how did I not know this? How many years have we known each other? An adorable and poorly behaved cat named Juno. I did not know this. That'll have to be a whole separate conversation.
Bit of a relatively new addition. We chose really poorly.
Oh no, any furry family member is right on point with me. So Serena's going to talk about how career development is a superpower. And so Serena, I am so blessed. We are so grateful that you're here today. I'm going to turn it right over to you.
Oh, thanks so much, Deirdre. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks to all of you out in Zoom land for joining. So I'm just going to share my screen quickly and get this going. So career development is a superpower. And happy Canada Career Month, by the way. So I want to start by, and I'm just going to progress here. I want to start by acknowledging that I'm coming to you from land that belongs to the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. So I want to start by paying my respect to their culture and to their leaders and elders, past, present, and emerging. I also want to acknowledge that we are not living in normal times. We are, our lives have just changed so fundamentally over these last 8 months. Everything has been kind of turned upside down, and our day-to-day life is just not what it was 8 months ago. And I'm so aware that some of the systems that we live and work and study in, it's hard for them to adjust those big systems. And, I see and talk to students and workers every single day who are just feeling the most intense pressure and just unprecedented stress and anxiety. And so I just want to say explicitly that there is no such thing as a new normal right now. And during the pandemic, the saying shift happens has never been so true. And so I just wanted to really encourage you to, get hold of your own personal anchors and be kind to yourself and to one another. And, whatever expectations are coming at you, to really get hold of your own expectations and rein those in if you need to, because these are just not normal times. So how do we make sense of this new abnormal world? And more importantly, maybe how do we shift from this feeling of being in total disruption to moving toward recovery? Well, for me, career development, no big surprise. I work with the Canadian Career Development Foundation. For me, career development is a really important key to that journey from disruption to recovery. This is a quote from the OECD, which, if you're not familiar with them, super smart organization that's basically never wrong. And they're saying that career development has never been so important as it is right now. And it really is actually an untapped and free and easy way to get those anchors deeply rooted and to be feeling more grounded. So what are some of the benefits of career development, just to, in case you're not fully on board with the idea that career development is a superpower? These are just some research results around some of the impacts of career development. We know that people that engage in career development get better grades. They are more likely to graduate successfully, way more productive, satisfied, and happy at work, way more likely to make seamless and successful transitions from school to work, more likely to be successful at work, make more money, have better mental health, and more likely to want to get out of bed in the morning to do whatever they're doing. And so what is this magical unicorn that we call career development? Well, in a nutshell, it's the lifelong process of managing your learning, both formal and informal, your work, paid and unpaid, and the transitions in between learning and work to build the life you want to live. Now, you may or may not have experienced good career development in your life. If you took a personality test and it told you what you should be, you have not experienced good career development. If you saw a guidance counselor and they looked at your marks and told you what you should study at post-secondary, you have not experienced good career development. Good career development really is about building the skills and the strategies and to create the life that you want to live. It's as simple as that. And today, when you think about it, career development is a field that was literally purpose-built to help you and others get through really complex, unpredictable transitions. And if there ever was an unpredictable and complex transition, it's our current pandemic. And so for anyone trying to navigate learning and work right now, it really is a superpower. So I thought I would draw on the fictional superheroes out there and just share 3 quick lessons that we can learn from superheroes that are really career development lessons at their heart. So the first career development lesson is know your why. Superman absolutely knows his why. He uses his laser vision and is guided there. Knowing your why is a massive advantage today. So what do I mean by know your why? Well, it's about having a really good handle on what makes you tick. What kind of learning or work actually does make you want to get out of bed in the morning? What bores you silly? What kinds of activities or discussions or subjects actually kind of chip away at your soul and make you feel yucky? And what ones give you energy and build you up? It's different for each and every one of us. It's not that hard to figure out, but so many of us go through life not fully conscious of our whys, and definitely not grounding our decision in our whys. We far too often fall into decisions, whether it's based on our marks or what our parents think we should do, or societal pressures, or what we perceive to be kind of the hot jobs or the hot areas to study. We often think that some kind of personality test is going to somehow tell us our why. But honestly, a few good questions and some reflection is all it takes. It's free and it's easy, and it's incredibly powerful. At the end of the day, it's one of the best investments you can make in your own future, because knowing your why is a massive competitive advantage. It's a true superpower. It will inform really, really good decision making. It will increase your chances of success in school and work and make you infinitely more attractive to employers. We spend way too many hours at work or in studies, more than literally any other activity in our lives. And yet we too often fall into those categories. We fall into the post-secondary program that we choose or the work that we choose. The cost of learning and working in areas that really aren't right, that aren't congruent with your why, is massive, because it chips away at your physical and mental health, and it makes you way less likely to succeed at whatever you're doing. So knowing your why, more important than ever. It's what anchors your choices, and honestly, it's like the thread that runs through the fabric of a good life, and career development can help you have that. Superhero lesson number 2, Know your unique powers. Only Spider-Man can spin a web to catch bad guys, and only Wonder Woman has that, I don't know, magical spinny thing that she uses. What about you? So career development can help you to really clearly articulate what makes you uniquely you. The skills and the strengths and the qualities that would make an employer or a client want to hire you. There's a lot of messages out there about the hot skills. You know, there's a huge skills agenda out there in Canada trying to predict what are the skills that are going to be needed in the coming years. And I have to let you in on a secret. Nobody knows. They're making it up. You know, they're making informed guesses because the labor market and the requirements associated with working in today's labor market, it's changing at the speed of light, and no labor market expert can keep up with it. What we do know from the research is, and this has been consistent and stable for a number of years now, is when employers are asked what they're really looking for, it's way more about those sort of transferable skills, the skills and the strengths that are kind of core to who we are. And knowing the constellation that's unique to you makes you way more attractive to an employer. So whether you're an amazing communicator, whether you've got great judgment, whether you take initiative, whether you are somebody that an employer can really count on because you're so responsible, whether it's your unique strength in working cross-culturally and with persons with different identities, or whether it's a capacity to think critically, get in touch with what your unique powers are, because knowing that and being able to talk about it articulately is a huge superpower in this labor market. So career development not only helps you to build those skills and practice them, but it also really helps you to be able to talk about them clearly, precisely, and compellingly. So superpower number 3 that's associated with career development is go where the action is. Superheroes do not sit in their lairs waiting for somebody to come to them. They are out there, they're out where the action is. You know, it breaks my heart how many people I speak with who get all the way through post-secondary only to find out that actually doing the work that they're studying for is something that they hate. It's wrong. Recently, I spoke with a woman who loved the theory of criminal law, and she got all the way through the program, right up to articling, only to find out that she hated working in a law office. She hated the culture, she hated the work, she hated everything about it except the concepts. And that's a huge investment and such a waste of her time, of her energy, and of her spirit, because that feels like a failure when it shouldn't be. So what could she have done? Well, you know, she could have spoken to some criminal lawyers and found out in detail what it's like to be a criminal lawyer. She could have maybe done a co-op in high school in a criminal law office. And even if she wasn't doing criminal law, she'd be there experiencing the culture and able to see and talk with criminal lawyers. She might have done some work integrated learning over the years, or job shadowing, or co-ops. There's all kinds of ways that you can get out there where the action is, even if paid work isn't how you're doing it. And as an added bonus, the research is really clear that those who have real exposure and experience, whether it's volunteer or co-op or part-time work, those folks are way more attractive to employers, way more likely to be hired, and way more likely to be successful at work. And of course, career development also teaches us how to make the transition from school to work. How do you actually have the right kinds of strategies to launch a successful work search in today's labor market? Work search is not the same as it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even 2 years ago. There are tested and proven strategies for actually connecting with employers successfully and being able to be hired or create work for yourself. And a career professional can help you with that. So career development not only gives us those opportunities to get out there and have hands-on experience, it also really can help you to actually get or create work. in today's labor market. So I'm giving you a bonus superpower lesson here, and that is strike the pose and do it now and do it often. So there's actually research from Harvard University that suggests that striking the pose, doing that superhero pose for 2 minutes a day, has all kinds of health benefits. It reduces your blood pressure and cortisol, it increases your testosterone, and apparently makes you more successful at whatever you're doing. Now, you know, whether that's all true or not, I mean, Harvard's pretty impressive, but even if it's not true, what I would say to you is strike the pose, whether it's in your own mind, privately, just in front of your mirror where no one else can see you, or loud and proud out there, whatever it is, you deserve some moments of pride. Surviving these days is just a mountain of achievement, and every day that you get through is a day that you should feel some pride. Sticking with your courses, or knowing when it's right to not stick with those courses, these are courageous actions, and you should feel proud. Being human today is hard work, and we spend a lot of our waking hours beating ourselves up for not doing quite as well as we thought we should, or not doing as well as we were doing before the pandemic. And whether you do this just in your own head, or do it in real life, do strike the pose, because you really do deserve to feel some pride for just getting through these days and doing your best. So with that, I just want to say a huge thank you, and really keen to chat if anyone has any questions or wants to make comments. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I
think everybody should start tweeting their pose. I think that's a challenge I'm going to put out to all of our watchers today, and hashtag or tag. I'm not really very good at social media. Do whatever you have to do to get Yorkville to see it, and everybody start striking their poses. I think that's fantastic. And yeah, I would trust something coming out from Harvard, right? What do you think? Yeah.
Hashtag career month.
There you go, hashtag career month. So everyone use the Q&A panel at the bottom of your screen, and or the chat feature, and Serena's with us for a few minutes and would be happy to take questions. Serena, one thing that always strikes me anytime I hear anybody talk about career development is how somehow the sector has become Canada's best kept secret, but also like the worst secret that nobody ever intended that we would have. Because, you know, so much of what you talk about is, and that people spend their lives in soul-sucking work because they don't know that they have any other options. They don't know how to make those, navigate those things. So, noting that all of the things that students do every day really is career development, and really does give them a, this notion of a superpower is absolutely brilliant. So we do have questions. Oh, so somebody's saying great session. That's good. Thanks so much. I have to get rid of that. So somebody is, I'm going to try to ask this in a way that makes sense. Serena, we have an attendee that's really interested in being a software engineer, but doesn't have that background. And so is really conflicted of, well, do I stay focused on what I'm doing, or is it okay to, take that leap and do something that's completely outside of what a background dictates, to follow their interest?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, these are our big questions in life, right? Is how do you balance the investment that you've already made going down one path with seeing a path over there somewhere that you think is actually way closer to the path that you want to be on. That's probably a much longer conversation than a little soundbite answer that I would give right now. But what I would say is that, life is, if we're lucky, long. And 5 years from now, you're going to be 5 years older, whether you pursue your dream or whether you stick on the path that you're on that may not be what you really want. Time is going to proceed no matter what. And every minute that you're doing something that kind of feeds your soul and takes you a little step closer to the life that you want to live is a good moment. And the time that you will spend doing whatever upgrading that you want, if that's an area that really is a passion for you, you'll love those moments too. And I guess I try to think of life as, you know, a series of little decisions that are either taking me closer or further away from the life that I want to live. And so if you have a sense of an area that you think would be closer to the life you want to live, it sure is worth exploring more. You know, it's worth talking to some people that are doing that if you haven't already done that. It's worth finding out exactly what's required. And you know, make those series of decisions knowing that each one is literally going to move you either a little bit closer or a little bit further from the life you want to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. Thanks, Serena. So I have a question. How do you celebrate pride in your accomplishments? Like, you talk about this, but how do they do that practically?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I mean, just like each of our superpowers, each of our whys are unique to us. What's going to give you joy and give you a sense of personal celebration is unique too. I guess I would say, like, it doesn't always have to be massive, right? There are small ways to celebrate every day, literally every moment if you want to, that can cumulatively become a really powerful change in your whole frame of reference, right? If you go through most of your day kind of beating yourself up and feeling crappy about what you're doing, but, you know, then take 30 seconds to meditate and say how great you are, or listen to an affirmation, that may not be as effective as trying to build a habit into how you think about yourself and what you're doing every moment of every day, right? So when you start to have those moments of doubt or feeling like you're not doing as well as you could, to begin to try to catch those as they're happening, and you know, beat the crap out of them because they don't belong. But, you know, having said that, you know, whatever gives you joy, whether it's, you know, enjoying a wonderful glass of wine at the end of the day, or whether it's going for a hike in the woods, or, you know, asking some people that love you to just remind you why they love them, why they love you. You know, there's tons of ways that you can just feed your soul with a little bit of that pride.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Thanks, Serena. So I think the same person is just saying, so thank you. Accumulatively is being very honest, and that new habit, being assertive and aware, is very welcome. Yeah, it's almost replacing that negative ticker tape that sometimes happens with a much more positive ticker tape.
Yeah.
And that does take time, doesn't it, for us to celebrate the things that we've done, and rather than beat ourselves up for perhaps what we haven't accomplished. So
yeah, and yeah. I mean, the first
and
step,
I love the notion of a small thing. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say the first step is even being aware that there is that ticker tape, because I mean, it's easy to just sort of go through life and think that, you know, not be conscious of that constant narrative that's in your head, but it's there. and when you start thinking about it, you realize it's there. And so just being conscious of it is the first step. And then, like I said, realizing that you're in control of it. There isn't some external voiceover that is creating this. It's coming from you, and therefore you can change it.
Right. So other questions have come in, Serena, that are really kind of really big. Like, we would need to book you like for an hour to have one-on-one, which sometimes happens with these. So I'm encouraging, if anybody has these big questions around, you know, career development support, Yorkville University does have a career services department. So career services at yorkvilleu.ca will get you to one of our career advisors, because, you know, some of these questions are definitely ones that, like, we'd have to be paying Serena consulting to career counseling, and we don't really want to do that live. So, you know, although she's worth like every penny. So another question that's come in, Serena, is just really around, you know, COVID, that is now the time, from a career perspective, should we be sheltering in place, or is now the time to really do some of this, given that nobody really knows what tomorrow brings within a global pandemic?
Yeah, it's such a great question. And I mean, I guess I'll answer it first by speaking a little personally of my own experience with COVID. What I found was that it really did kind of, whether it slowed things down initially, I mean, I don't feel slowed down right now, I must say, but there was a period when it first hit that I think the world kind of did pause, and it was quite an opportunity to just take a little step back. And I found myself for sure thinking about what is most important to me. Like if the world is really, going to crap right now, what really are my anchors? What's most important to me? If I'm now really in some ways more in charge of my time, because everything is remote, and a lot of stuff was happening asynchronously. What are my priorities? Like, and knowing myself, what do I know I need to get through this? What are the essentials that are going to make a difference between me being okay on the other end of this and me not being okay on the other end of this? And so, I mean, I have to say, I did quite a bit of career development for myself, especially in those early months, really taking some of the activities that I might have facilitated with clients in the past and did them for myself, because I just intuitively felt that this was a good time to really invest in knowing ourselves better, getting those anchors well established, and rethinking what's most important. Like, how do I want to live my life? Am I living the life that I really want to live? Or is there something different that I just got so busy I didn't really pay attention to? So yeah, I mean, I guess my short answer there is I think it's a great time
It's always a great time, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Really, to me, it's always a great time. And that doesn't mean that all of a sudden I'm, quitting my job, and, it doesn't, but if you're starting to do the reflection and saying, I'm not happy here, and how can I make a transition where I can still feed my family and pay my bills? Because sometimes that stops people from making changes. But I always say your career is developing, whether you're in control of it or not. So you can decide whether it's gonna develop in a direction that you want it to, and it can be baby steps, or it can be this massive, wholesale change. But all of those small incremental steps, you can move them in the direction. You just tease it a little bit into the direction that you really want to go. Yeah. Serena, Freddie's asking, our superpower number one, know your why. When we're engaged in this notion of career development, do we need to update our why regularly? Does our why change?
Great question. And the short answer is, you bet. Like, for sure. I mean, I have the advantage of having a lot of years behind me. And I can say that my why as a teenager was different than my why as a woman in her early 20s. And it was different after I had my daughter. And it was different after I got into a relationship. It was different when I started doing this work. We are in constant evolution. It's not just the labor market that is changing quickly. We are in constant evolution. Now, there are some parts of us that are more stable. I mean, typically our values tend to be more stable and consistent over long periods of time. It's not to say that they're unchangeable. We can sometimes have experiences or learning. We can learn things that really shake up our values, but our values are probably the most stable and consistent part of us. But our interests and our personal preferences, and the things that we love to do, and the things that we hate to do, and the things that we feel we can no longer do, or that new things that we think we can do that we didn't think we could do before, those things are changing all the time. And so, you don't have to have a big reassessment of your why every day, but it's a really smart thing to check in every now and again and just, whether it's keeping a little journal where you would write a little bit about what you think about your current why, and then be able to go back to that, a year later or a couple of years later or 6 months later, depending on what's happening in your life. But just, kind of revisit it, because it's not cast in stone, never to be changed again. We do evolve and change.
For sure. It's funny, as I'm thinking, we fall back this weekend, right? With daylight saving. Although I'm seeing all the jokes of nobody needs another hour of 2020. So, be that as it may, you're getting another hour whether you want one or not. And I also see lots of stuff that now is the time, because it's daylight savings. We also hear about checking our fire alarms and our carbon monoxide detectors, make sure your batteries all. Wouldn't it be amazing if, 2 times a year or once a year, it was check your career day, right? Like, it was a time that we just kind of naturally remembered that we should be evaluating our why, and are we doing things, tasks at work that we don't really like to do anymore. I had somebody mention the other day, I was on Zoom taking notes, Deirdre, man, you type fast. Yeah. Like, I don't know how I could do my life if I didn't type fast, but that does not mean that I want to be a data entry person, or it's just a skill that I have that can apply in so many ways. But so often we get defined by, well, you're good at this, so then you should do this all the time. And we never stop and really think about, what is that? Do I want to do this every day of my life? And just because I'm really good at it, because that's sometimes how our career development choices get made, right?
I love your idea of the check-in. Yeah. We take our cars in once a year, we get our teeth checked once a year, and yet, I can live without a car, but my life would be fundamentally messed up if I hated what I was doing every day. Why would we not invest a little bit of time and energy in just checking in? Who am I today relative to who I was last year? Have I developed any new skills or strengths that I didn't have before that I should really be adding to my portfolio and talking about with potential employers? Am I happy? Am I looking forward to what I'm doing every day, or am I kind of dreading it? And if it's the latter, then what am I going to do about it?
Yeah. And I think giving yourself permission to say, this is, whenever I work with midlife career changers, it's like, but I've invested so much time. Yeah, but there's no reason why you can't bring that forward into something else, because if you hate every minute of it, why do you want to keep doing it?
Yeah.
Right? But that's very old language, isn't it? The one job for life. We're still all very conditioned that, if you pick well, then you'll have one job for life. But it's non-existent. So there really needs to be a culture shift. And no better time than Canada Career Month, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's a really important message that, we kind of think of different occupations as completely separate, discrete things. If I've trained to be, a mechanic, then everything that I've learned and everything that I am is wasted if I think that I want to do something different that, seems unrelated to being a mechanic, when in fact we know for sure from the research that it's just not the case. There's a big amount of transferability between different occupations in different industries, in different sectors. There's a lot of common skills that carry across. And honestly, the technical skills are changing so quickly that you probably, mechanics are needing to learn new stuff all the time anyways.
For sure.
And that's true
Yeah.
in almost every sector. So, I wouldn't underestimate how much of what you already know and can do that you can carry into really different kinds of work.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I could talk to you all morning, Serena, but I really can't hog your time. You've got other things to do. I am so grateful that you were able to come and share your wisdom with us today. And I think that you've kicked off Canada Career Month just absolutely perfectly, because what better stage than to think career development is a superpower that we all carry within us. And so we might need a little bit of support in bringing that to life. And so I love the lessons that you've shared with us today. And I'm so appreciative that you're here. We will see everyone next week, where we welcome Greg Taylor, who's actually an MACP graduate and has a long history in career development as well. He's going to talk about career risks, rewards, and resilience, lessons from a real life journey. So that's next week on Ask an Expert. In the meantime, be well. Happy Halloween if you happen to be celebrating. We all should have come in costume. That would have been fun.
I almost did. I almost did.
Maybe next year. Oh, that would have been so perfect. Okay, Serena, thank you again so much. I owe you deeply. You're just an absolute treasure, and I really, really appreciate you taking the time this morning. And everybody, have a fantastic